My name is Mr. Abusani. The subject is still basic science, and I'll be speaking on element, compound, and mixture. So now let's look at the objectives of this lesson. At the end of this lesson, you should be able to 1. Define elements, 2. State the first 20 elements and their symbols, 3. Define mixture and compound, 4. State examples of mixture and compound. These are the objectives of this lesson. So before I start speaking on our lesson for today, let me quickly remind us of some of the things I spoke about in my first lesson, titled Physical and Chemical Changes. Substances undergo different types of changes. These changes can be physical or chemical. Now, what is physical change? Physical change is change that does not lead to the formation of new substance. That is to say, in physical change, the starting materials and the ending materials are the same. Examples of physical change include boiling of water, melting of ice. These are some examples of physical change. Chemical change is change that leads to formation of new substance. That is, in chemical change, the reactants are always different from the product. Example of chemical change are boiling of egg, rusting of metals are examples of chemical change. So these were some of the things I spoke about in my first lesson. So back to our lesson for today. What is an element? An element is a pure substance that is made from a single type of atom. Elements are the building block for all matter. There are about 118 elements in the universe, and these elements are normally arranged in a table called periodic table. On this chart, we have the first 20 elements showing the atomic number and mass number, starting from hydrogen to calcium. Now, mixture. A mixture is a number of different substances and chemicals mixed together. That is to say, mixtures are not chemically bound. So now, what are the examples of mixture? Number 1, we have blood. 2, crude oil is another example of mixture. Air, another example of mixture. Soil, another example of mixture. And urine. These are some examples of mixture. You can see them, as you can see in this picture. These are mixtures, examples of mixtures showing what? Showing their components. Mixtures and their components. Is that clear? So now, compound. A compound is a substance or chemical made up of 2 or more different elements that are bound together. So now, what are the examples of compound? We have water. This, you can see in this picture, is a picture of water. Of course, we know the symbol for water, H2O. You can see oxygen being bounded by 2 hydrogen. Common salts, another example of compound. Carbon dioxide is another good example of compound, that is CO2. Calcium carbonate is another example of a compound. Aspirin is another good example of compound. So these are examples of compound. These compounds or the substances or the elements that are found in these compounds are chemically bound together. Now let's look at the differences between mixture and compound. Number one, so based on composition, elements are in fixed proportion by mass in compound, while in mixture, elements are mixed in variable proportion. Based on melting and boiling points, elements have what, or compounds, have fixed boiling and melting points, while mixtures have what, variable or different range of what, boiling and melting points. Number three, based on properties, compounds have different physical and chemical properties from constituent elements, while mixtures have the properties of the substances that make them up. Number four, based on separation, compound can only be separated by chemical or electrical methods, while mixtures can be separated by physical means. So based on energy changes, compound usually involve heat or light energy, while mixtures does not involve heat or light energy. I believe you have learned something from this lesson. So I have a little assignment for you, and the question is, you have to state 2 examples, each of mixture and compound aside the ones given. Send your answers and names to this number. Thank you for watching.